has a countdown clock located to the speaker's right that will indicate how much time is remaining. A bell will sound when you have 30 seconds left. Speakers registered on the consent agenda items will be taken following the announcements of any items being pulled from the consent agenda. Speakers registered on non-consent items other than public hearing and zoning cases will be taken following council announcements. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items within those blocks that they are registered. Before you begin your comment, please state your name. Thank you.
Welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Tonight's invocation will be by Pastor Matt Oxley from the Creek Church. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
Humbled that we get to be a part of the great city of Fort Worth. Thank you for trusting us with the honor of leading her and being the leaders that you've called us to be. And I pray that we would be found faithful stewards of all of our responsibilities in every area of our city and our community. May we lead with your heart, and may we set an example for the rest of our nation and the world of a city coming together, united for one purpose. And we pray that everything we do in this meeting and as we walk from this meeting glorify and honor you, to build each other up through love and unity. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
To the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Our first item of business will be special presentations, with the first one being a presentation of certificates of recognition for East Side leaders.
And I'll turn to Mayor Pro Tem Bivens to present these recognitions. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. As I call your names, I'm going to ask you to step into the well. Now, the funny thing is, I was doing all that preparation to tell people how wonderful y'all were, and I left it upstairs. So we're gonna wing this. And so the names are gonna be called in no real order, but I'll bring them down. We'll take a picture, and then we'll make sure everybody has the right recognition. First is we have Loretta Burns, Demetrius Dimps, Lisa McDaniel. These are people who take care of children throughout District 5. Some may have addresses in other cities, but their leadership is seen in District 5. Next, I'd like for Jeremy Smith to come down. Jeremy Smith is a Dunbar alum who played basketball under Coach Robert Hughes and decided he wanted to move back home and make something of the community that he grew up in. When I took office in 2013, a burned-out building stood that caught fire in 1985. We demolished it in 2013. Jeremis is building a mixed-use development there with a partner from, don't cry, but from Dallas. Don and Wanda. This is a dynamic duo. And even though everybody knows they live in District 8, they are citizens of the entire city. These leaders have been with everything East Side, but what I really want to recognize them for is the start of Vision East Lancaster. Years ago, Frank Moss, Danny Scarth, and Kathleen Hicks started this meeting of the three districts together, and the only ones that gelled and held were the ones in District 8, Vision East Lancaster, and now we have the corridor. Mary Kelleher. Let me tell you, I will never forget the summer of 2018 when Mary Kelleher took video of floodwaters that were just ravaging us on the east side because the developer had skipped a step and we lost so many clear-cutting trees. Thanks to Mary, we were able to put a stop to that, and we're on the path for a master urban forestry plan. I've already called Lisa. Pastor Kenneth Sales. Is Poppy here? There he is. Come on down. His name is Poppy from Dunbar. Pastor Kenneth Sales and First Lady Sally, that's another duo. The very first tax foreclosed property to be bought and used in Stop 6 was by this man. The church is on what used to be Calumet, and before they came, it was riddled with crime, boarded up buildings and duplexes, but the church did what churches are supposed to do. They shined a light. And I can tell you that is truly a very nice community that we have in place there. Thank you, Sandy. Next, Mario Salas. Come on down. This small businessman had purchased property in Stop 6, but could not build what he wanted to build. It turns out, when I talked to developers to ask why weren't they building in Stop 6, it was the zoning that was restrictive. And so as soon as the zoning was changed, he built the first house in Stop 6 that is 5,000 square feet. And now he has a compound. He's building for his mother, his sister, his son, I don't know how many people. Dave and James, y'all hear from James T. White? Daniel's here too. My microphone is acting crazy.
It's not me. It is going crazy.
Oh, no, I don't have a keyboard. Oh, I'll keep talking. When a neighborhood association went defunct, two of these guys, Dave and James, raise your hands, please. Two of these guys and a lady named Dee Dee came together and said, we are going to revive the John T. White Neighborhood Association, and they did. It is now the most effective neighborhood association we have in District 5, and people all around the city go to their Facebook changes to get red alerts. That means a zoning change is on its way. But it was Daniel Soralde who called me one day when he saw clear cutting taking place, and everybody rushed to the scene like MedStar, and it turns out it was legal, but we still didn't like it. A few more. We have Demetrius. I saw Will. Will, is Nita with you? Will and Nita Dryden? Well, you can come on. I'll let you come down anyway. Will and Nita Dryden are just like Dot and Wanda in their love for the city. Even though they live in District 5, they travel the entire city. And let me tell you what they look for. They look for the absence of striping on the roads. So all of y'all want to thank them for reporting the streets that need striping. Cindy Bowling, is Cindy here? Come on down, Cindy. Cindy, is Tarchie here? Cindy and Tarchie took it upon themselves to be proactive in dealing with the speed racing that was plaguing our city. And they've done so much more, but they took the lead in that. And we now have, I'll call them a task force, and what they do is meet with our East Side Police Commander to talk about ways and strategies to put a stop to it. And lucky for us, our commander is the daughter of an officer, and the first time she staged everybody in place to scare them off, her father called and said, well, your friends are going back to Dallas. Commander, come on down. Is there anybody I've left out? You know you're supposed to be here if you were invited. Please, that was my first. Okay, Frank and Cliff. Cliff, I'm saving you for last. I want to call my predecessor, Frank Moss. Frank, for whatever reason, thought this was an award for a whole bunch of people. Christine, come on down. And when Jonathan Morrison called and asked, is this recognition for our neighborhood association? I said, no, this is for Frank and Christine. I will tell you, just under 100 crepe myrtles have been planted under his leadership with the neighborhood association, setting the theme for what we want to look like in Stop 6. Now, his neighborhood really is Rosedale Park, but after we got the grant money for Stop 6, everybody wants to be in Stop 6. So Frank and Christine. And finally, this is the drum roll intro. Many of you heard about a rapper who I was very close to. He was killed. Eminem was his rapper name, and Eminem put on major events that had police from all over the city. He put on the biggest Juneteenth parade I had ever seen outside of downtown. And when Eminem died, I wondered who would pick up that torch. There was no stop, no pause. Cliff, Big Cliff. Yeah, come on down. Cliff Sparks was able to step in, and he has been the gatherer of people, party with a cause, parade to have fun. Whatever it is, Cliff is at the heart of it, and everybody calls and asks me now, can you put me in touch with Cliff? I don't give his phone number out. And so please salute these leaders as I bring the certificates down. We're not going to be loud. We're going to leave out of here, and then we'll sort them all out.
Gina, as y'all disperse, I'm going to have Whitney grab Molly pins for y'all, if you heard me, Gina. Okay. She's going to grab Molly pins for everybody. Thank y'all very much for coming. As our East Side leaders disperse, we're going to go ahead and call our next presentation, which is Habitat for Humanity. And I believe that Fernando Costa and Michelle Kennedy, I think Gage is here also, are all going to come down and join us to give us a brief update on the state of Habitat for Humanity. We're very proud that you're here to recognize National Housing Month in the month of April. Gage, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Look up there and I see friends. And that's a good thing, because I need friends in affordable housing that we do. And as the mayor said, not only is it Affordable Housing Month, but today, 55 years ago, LBJ signed into law the Fair Housing Act. Great effort to try to shove discrimination out of the housing marketplace, which there's no room for that in housing or anywhere else, right? So we're thrilled to be here. As you know, essential homes for essential workers, that's what we do. Affordable housing is an oxymoron, right? They don't go together. It's very difficult to do what we do. So the only way we can do what we do is in partnership with you guys to do it together, an intelligent, reasonable public-private partnership. So we need our brothers and sisters up there. I look across and like saying I have projects working in like every district up there. And that doesn't happen without my commitment and your commitment to doing what we do and working with Fernando and Dana, and shouldn't name names because I can't stop. So anyway, 826 homes we've built in the city of Fort Worth, 1,673 rehabs is what we've done, and we have a check here, and I'd love to get everybody down for a check because Habitat's not a hand up. It is a hand up, not a hand out. When you help us build, those families move into the home, turn around, and they pay their taxes, right? I'd like every single one of you, I'd love to have you come down. So here's a check that our families paid last year for $2.79 million in property taxes back to the city of Fort Worth.
Appreciate it, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Our next presentation will be a proclamation for the Texas Christian University's 150th anniversary.
I think before I read the proclamation, I may ask Chancellor Boschini to come to the mic and recognize this is a big deal for Fort Worth. 150 years of the Horned Frog, right?
Yes.
Huge deal. And what an awesome year to get to recognize the university coming off of a national championship and all the wonderful things that TCU is doing. With that, Victor, why don't you speak for a minute and then I'll read the proclamation.
That's for you, Mayor. First of all, thanks, Mayor Parker, and thanks to all our great council members. We're honored to be here. Texas Christian University is 150 years old this year. And with me receiving this proclamation are some of our student leaders I'd like to introduce. Brandon Fox, president of our student body, John Robertson, the vice president, Jackson Pearson, Annie Cowden, and Chiara Lombardi from our graduate student senate, and of course, Superfrog. I hope all of you realize that it was actually this group in here who got TCU to come to Fort Worth it was actually a little less than 150 years ago now. In 1910, they had a contest in the state of Texas, and 6 cities were finalists: Dallas, Fort Worth, Waco, and 3 we don't care about. And Fort Worth won the contest, and the contest was to get TCU to come here. And at that time, the people on the council, they imagined that our students would stay here and work and raise families and become part of the Fort Worth community, and they have. They imagined that this sense of community would build a talent pool in Fort Worth, and we hope we have. And so we just want to say to all of you, we are grateful to all of you, sincerely grateful for letting TCU be here and for hosting this university, because TCU would not be what it is without the city of Fort Worth. We brought a small gift. Our student body president's going to give it to the mayor to commemorate this friendship, and we hope we have another 150 years of a great partnership. Thank you.
I think rather than read this proclamation, I think I'll ask Elizabeth and Michael to chime in here as well. They're both proud and usually fight over who really represents TCU. But that's genuine, right, of how important this university is to the city of Fort Worth. And I could think of countless ways just in my short tenure as mayor, when I make a phone call to anyone in the chancellor's staff or anybody at the university, the answer is always yes. And then what else can we do for the city of Fort Worth? And for that, I'm incredibly thankful. I'm going to read the second whereas clause, which I think is most impactful. And whereas TCU is a world-class, value-centered private university comprised of 9 schools and colleges and has a legacy of creating leaders who shape and improve the world for the greater good. TCU students, faculty, and staff offer valuable research, scholarly activity, artistic and cultural assets, a diverse array of talent and significant economic benefit to our region. And whereas TCU Celebration Lead On, celebrating 150 years of TCU, is a moment to reaffirm and celebrate that shared spirit, values, and impact that connects Horned Frogs to each other and the city of Fort Worth. And now, therefore, the city of Fort Worth does hereby recognize TCU's 150th anniversary and celebrate the year 2023 as TCU's sesquicentennial, always messes up. Sesquicentennial, there you go, celebration. Just say 150th, right? Thank you all very much for coming this evening. This is a big deal for your university and for the city of Fort Worth. And I'll present this proclamation to Chancellor Boschini and Superfrog. How about that? Come on up here. We want to do one group picture. Everybody together. Yeah. Yep. That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all want to say anything? Go ahead. Elizabeth and Michael Sport.
Mayor's already said it, but I'll say go Frogs. Appreciate it.
Our next presentation will be a proclamation for the National Community Development Week.
Should have just stayed down here. Victor Turner, you want to come join me down here? Where's Victor? For those of you that don't know, this is Victor Turner, who does an amazing job working as our Neighborhood Services Director. Before I read this proclamation, why don't you get us started? Sound good? Come on down.
Yeah, before I say any remarks, I'm going to ask our Chair of our Community Development Council, Ms. Ebony Rose, if she'd like to say anything.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm Ebony Rose. I serve as the mayor's appointee to the Community Development Council, currently in my second term and serving as chair of that council. Really appreciate the support that we get and helping to ensure that the federal funding that we can provide to our residents in the city of Fort Worth are used well, and that we are courageous in ensuring that we have housing and equitable opportunities for our citizens. Thank you so much.
So a few brief remarks. Thank you, Mayor Council, for recognizing National Community Development Week this week, April 10th through the 14th. National Community Development Week was created in 1986 to bring national attention to the CDBG program through grassroots support at a time when the program was facing scrutiny by Congress. One of the main objectives of National Community Development Week is to draw attention to the importance of these federal programs and to garner congressional support for their continued funding. In Fort Worth, over the years, these programs have been used to make improvements throughout our community, including ADA improvements to our sidewalks and community centers, street and drainage improvements in low-income areas, funding to install wheelchair ramps, Meals on Wheels for our senior citizens, homebuyer assistance for first-time homebuyers, owner-occupied rehab, improvements to our public parks, and summer education enrichment programs to our underserved communities. During our last annual performance report, FY21, the city assisted over 13,000 persons while expending $18.5 million. This equates to an average expenditure of a little over $1,400 per person. We believe those are very good numbers. As a reminder, over the next few weeks, we are holding community meetings to gather feedback from the community on the use of these funds, and we will certainly encourage the public to participate. Again, on behalf of the entire Neighborhood Services staff, thank you.
In closing, I'll just say this. If you think about federal programming, this may not be the things that you write home about, but these individuals in our Neighborhood Services Department and across different departments in the city of Fort Worth take their jobs incredibly seriously. And then coupled with, we have volunteer citizens that are willing to step up and recognize that since 1975, the city of Fort Worth has administered over $400 million in these grant funds to the federal government. I would put our city up against any other in the transparency and wherewithal that they put forward every single day. So Victor, to you and your entire staff, thank you very much. And this is a proclamation to recognize National Community Development Week. Thank you very much.
Next will be items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda.
There are no items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda,
Items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
and there are no items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
Mayor, that gets us to the consent agenda speakers, and I believe we have a couple.
We do, just one moment here. Our first consent agenda item speaker is Jonathan Morrison, who will be followed by Adrian Smith. Is Jonathan here? I didn't see him yet.
He's out there.
He's out there, okay. Adrian, why don't you come on up if you don't mind, Mr. Smith, and I'll have Jonathan come after you. Mr. Adrian Smith will be followed by Jonathan Morrison. This is our consent agenda item. Come on down, Jonathan. There you go. We're on the consent agenda item. I think you signed up to speak on M&C 23-0271 pertaining to transit-oriented development.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Good
You're
afternoon.
welcome.
My name is Jonathan Morrison, 1915 Carvely Drive. Thank you for having me tonight, Mayor and Council. I was just looking through, perusing through the agenda, as I was coming to the meeting to celebrate with the East Side leaders tonight. And there was just a few things that they weren't clear to me, but because I did sign up, Mr. Michael Owen, he reached out to me about that. So I'm thankful for the practice of the city for communicating with citizens in areas of lack of clarification. And I do think that we should just take forward the information of the projects that were canceled and continue and make sure that citizens in the community are aware, because I wasn't aware of those opportunities for those different transit-oriented developments, and I understand it was about need and just reallocating funds. So that's all I just wanted clarification, and so thankful to the staff for reaching out to me.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
All right.
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
So again, before I take this podium, what am I speaking on?
Well, you signed up on MNC.
I know what I signed up on.
Sure.
Come out for the gallery.
The consent agenda. Go ahead, Adrian, your time's going to start.
Okay, that's cool. What am I speaking on though?
You tell me. It's your 3 minutes.
So you're not gonna,
You signed up. Go ahead. MNC 23-0251, 23-0279, and 23-0284
so we're combining all three, correct?
on the consent agenda. Yes,
That's how we
sir.
do it, right? Okay. Everybody pay attention. Adrian Smith. I am one with the people. So the particular agenda item, 230251, basically, I just sum it up, it's just a waste of taxpayer money, $4,533,000 allocated to a particular company. I had the information here. Boy, this council is something else. Put to a particular company, basically to take payments on behalf of the citizens of Fort Worth regarding their water payments. This is a waste, and I'm not with it. So let me go to the next agenda item since we're playing this game, Mayor. MMC 230279, I'll disregard that one. I'll let you have that one, Mayor. MNC 230284. These are, you all are allocating $2 million to Texas A&M, you know, the institution that everybody stuck their chest out for because they decided to build a campus here downtown Fort Worth. So everybody is hoorah, hoorah, Texas A&M. But what I come to speak in regards to is Texas A&M, they don't believe in diversity. Is anyone aware of the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Well, the Texas A&M chancellor, he's against diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our governor, Greg Abbott, he's against diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I stand here to say this. You all took money that was allocated from the American Rescue Act Plan, which we had received back in May of 2022, and you blew through it. You did whatever with it. And this is part of it. So I'm playing your game, Mayor. This is not right the way y'all change things, but I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Am I correct that Carolyn Rodriguez is not speaking, Jeanette?
That is correct.
That's the conclusion of our consent agenda item, speakers.
Next will be approval of the consent agenda.
Second on the floor. Any other discussion, council? Please vote.
Next item will be upcoming and recent events, recognition of citizens, and approval of ceremonial travel if needed.
Councilmember Flores, did you have something? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Okay, I think we have a presentation. All right, going through the first slides. Back in March 20th, Stockyards Business Association had their monthly meeting at Stockyards Station. We meet to discuss things that impact Stockyards business stakeholders and discuss any developmental, updates that are coming their way. It's a good meeting, and the membership continues to grow, so kudos to Cheryl West, President, for growing that membership. Next slide, please. Okay, from March 22nd to 23rd, and some days beyond, several of us on council, including Mayor Parker, attended Tarrant County Days at the Capitol during the 88th legislative session, in which we discuss things that impact and interest Fort Worth with our state elected officials. Noteworthy that the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo was recognized there on the floor. So congratulations to them. Next slide, please. For March 24th to 28th, a few of us here on council attended the general session for the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C. And again, what we do when we travel there is talk to our federal counterparts and representatives in Congress to discuss those things that impact Fort Worth. So we attended several different sessions, including some given by some of the media that have panels that discuss things that pertain to cities. Next slide, please. All right, March 28th. Castleberry ISD is having their CTE Advisory Board Luncheon. They had it at Pompasitos with their new superintendent, Renee Smith-Faulkner. These recognize, again, those teachers that make noteworthy efforts to increase education and engagement, not just within their school district, but with their city counterparts. Next slide, please. March 30th, attended the Northwest Alliance meeting, Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD Administration Building. TPW was there, headed by our newly minted director, Lauren Perrier, and her staff. Had a lot of good questions there, a lot of explanations of upcoming projects, and also we had representation from the Northwest Division. Sergeant De Leon was there with his officers to discuss things that interest that group. Next slide, please. Saturday, April 2nd, the annual Cesar Chavez Parade in downtown. We joined in with several of our Hispanic leaders and other leaders like-minded to increase the membership of that organization and further those goals. So appreciation to Fort Worth Police Department Bike Patrol, City Marshals, Precinct Constable Pete Munoz for providing traffic control and making it so that everyone had a safe and wonderful time. Next slide, please. Saturday, April 2nd, Heroes Lunch at Rockwood Golf First Tee. Now, this is noteworthy because there was a 17-year-old girl who is homeschooled, Laura Lee O'Donnell, who worked to provide this lunch, and she earned a grant and provided the veterans with a lunch to give them recognition and thanks for what they've done in service to our nation. So kudos to her. We presented her with a certificate of recognition. Next slide, please. April 4th, Stockyards Livestock Exchange Building to congratulate the football team, Fort Worth Vaqueros, for 10 years in Fort Worth. My predecessor, Sal Espino, joined in because when he was on council, he actually ushered in the Fort Worth Vaqueros to Fort Worth. So they had a sponsorship lottery and a lot of fun had by all. Next slide, please. April 6th, Fort Worth United Way campaign kickoff celebration here at City Hall. I'll just cut to the chase. I found it particularly fun and yet really symbolic that Brandon Bennett made himself a target, right? Being a great sport, taking a few pies to the face, including from this council member. So Brandon, please continue code enforcement in District 2. Don't take it to heart. Thank you. All right. April 7th, toddler time at the... Did you have a video there? Hey, well, why don't you play it? It's a very short video of Brandon getting nailed in the face. That was by one of his code officers. They love him, I hear. So anyways, all right. April 7th, toddler time at North Tri-Ethnic Community Center. Had the auspicious privilege of reading to the toddlers. Try to keep their attention, but you know what toddlers are. Followed by an Easter egg hunt. Fun had by all. Appreciation to Angela Tobias and the staff there. All right, just a couple announcements. Neighborhood Improvement Block Party. The Greater Northside area is recipient of a second Neighborhood Improvement Plan, and there it's going to help the historic Marine neighborhood get back to where it belongs. So that's going to be on Saturday, April 15th from 12 to 2 at Marine Park at 303 Northwest 20th Street. So come on in for food, fun, and games. All right, 8th annual Northside High School Golf Tournament. All right, this is for charity, and you can join in as individuals or register as a team. That's April 21st this year. And for more information, go to www.northsidehigh.legacy.org/golf. Almost done. All right, Coffee with the Cop. Wednesday, April 26th at Casa Azul at 300 West Central Avenue. This is an opportunity to meet not just your neighborhood patrol officers, but our leadership. And we're going to have Commander Jason Kim, who's going to be present there to talk to some folks, and also the crime prevention specialist, Doc Kent. All right, here's one of my favorites, Hops and Props. This is the only airplane and craft beer fest in the Metroplex, Saturday, April 29th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mayor, I think you've checked it out before with your family. There's a lot of family-centric events, good local brews, good food, and learn about planes while you're at it, because Fort Worth's history has a lot to do with them, and that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Next up is Councilmember Crane.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a few slides here. Yeah, something there. Great American Cleanup was a couple weeks ago. Did some fun things there in Ridgely North, some at Bomber Heights, and as well as showed up, was in District 8, where Trinity Metro was doing a Habitat for Humanity build. So Councilman Nettles and I were there with Rich Andreski, the new CEO, and I guess I probably should stop saying no since he's been there for new since he's been there for 6 or 7 months, and Benjamin Robertson. Next slide. This is a really great thing. Camp Bowie District had their annual meeting last week. Mayor was there. Leonard Firestone was there. Y'all may not know the name Mark Lewis, but you may know Hawkeye from KSCS 96.3. When he was a young, newly on the radio, had been a TCU graduate, decided that Camp Bowie Boulevard needed some trees. So 25 years ago, he put out some of his own money and got other people to donate, and the trees you now see down Camp Bowie Boulevard are all because of his efforts. So it's really great to recognize the 25th anniversary of that initiative that night. Next slide. This was a great time last week. We traveled down with a group of Tanglewood parents that have started Texas Against School Violence in the wake of Uvalde. They've raised the money themselves to put an armed security officer inside Tanglewood Elementary. That's Tracy Carter, one of our MPOs that runs that program with them. But you've got the Spurgeons, Eric and Amber Spurgeon, Cherry Augenbach, Keaton Monahan, Peter Dean, and Buck Wheeler are one of the deputy chiefs. But we were meeting with, that's Charlie Guerin there, but we met with Burroughs, who has a bill in the House that would make this mandatory statewide. And with some funding behind it, but just letting them know what we're doing here. They'd like to partner with more schools and kind of show them what they're doing as part of that. It's a great little thing for them. Next slide. And this is a great thing. Really excited about this Double Eagle headquarter groundbreaking that's in Las Vegas Trail off Glen Rock. William and Scott Hamilton. This is what I've been able to sort of ascertain is probably the first actual commercial development in the last decade outside of housing in Las Vegas Trail. So it really is a cool thing. They have, it's going to be a nursery, but they want to partner with the schools and kind of teach them about bring in an arborist and teach them about lawn care and other things. They've partnered with Encore. If you know this area, there's a lot of the easement, so they'll have their trees underneath that and just really brighten up that area. So it's kind of cool to do the groundbreaking with them and really appreciative of their investment in the community. And the last slide went to the Islamic Association of Tarrant County and presented for Ramadan last week. Recognized Ramadan and its spirit of unity with Muslims around the world fasting and looking to be the best they can be by emphasizing the act of good in their everyday lives. So it was an honor to give them that proclamation. Thank you.
Councilmember Bivens.
Thank you. I've got a few slides. I was honored to speak at the National League of Cities conference held in D.C. last month. Democrat, Republican, and Libertarian locally elected officials stressed the importance of maintaining local control. Next slide. I was invited to a White House briefing where about 40 of us heard from White House leaders like John Podesta and others. They stressed the importance of how to get training for workers who need training, we can get money from the Inflation Reduction Act. And so I told them I'd come back and make sure our city staff knew how to squeeze more money because of that act. Next. I had a ball over the weekend, which is why I can't breathe and my eyes are watering. The Historic Stop 6 Neighborhood Association had police, had friends, had family, had everybody at this Easter egg hunt in Rosedale Park. Next slide. And that's the pastor's wife. Pastor Moore is the only member of the clergy who is a neighborhood president in District 5. And so we were able to take a lot of pictures near the Stop 6 public art display. Our jewels there. There may be another picture, I'm not sure. Hats off to the newly formed Carver Heights East Neighborhood Association. Is Alvin Johnson here? I thought I saw Al. Alvin, please stand. Any of your other members here? Okay. The Carver Heights East Neighborhood Association records show that the association had become inactive, meaning record keeping had fallen lax. Angela Norwood and Alvin Johnson are president and vice president of this association. Hats off to Community Engagement's Terrence Hamilton and my Community Engagement liaison, Joycia Johnson, for helping with this effort. If you are interested in starting or reactivating a neighborhood association, please contact my office at district5@fortworthtexas.gov. You have to have a voice of unity, and when you are together, you are stronger. And so we really push for neighborhood associations to get active again, like the John T. White Neighborhood Group. Dave, you can raise your hand. To others who may want to see what it takes to start one, he's a man you can see. Alvin's been around a long time. And I think that's all. Is that all? Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few announcements. This past weekend, we had a successful litter day. Code compliance team organized a special litter cleanup event. And so it was awesome to be able to tag along to that event. We partnered with the South District and met at Columbus Trail and had a great time cleaning McCard, Columbus Trail, West Cleveland Road, and portions of Hewlin and Risinger. It was really fun. Thank y'all for all y'all do. This Thursday, we will be hosting our District 6 open house. It will be held at Great Commission Baptist Church, which is located at 7700 McCart Avenue. We will have many updates from city departments, from street improvements to safety initiatives, park improvements, and how to report issues and so much more. This will be a great opportunity not only to ask questions of these departments, but we'll also have other departments and community organizations there. We hope to see you there. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Firestone.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 30th, we met at 1300 Gendy, the task force that we've put together, and held a public meeting to hear from citizens on the future of the Community Arts Center located on Gendy in the Cultural District. It's a great evening. The task force heard from multiple residents who are passionate about art in Fort Worth and about the ability for local artists to have a space to share their art, whether visual or performance. The task force will continue to meet for the next several weeks using this input in determining the best uses for the city-owned facility at 1300 Gendy. Next slide, please. So yesterday, Judge Rogers and I put together a little promotional video for a warrant forgiveness event in District 7, which will take place on April 29th from 9 a.m. until noon at the Thomas Place Community Center. This is a safe harbor court for people with outstanding warrants who can come take care of any outstanding warrants they may have without any concerns of arrest. In addition, the City of Fort Worth Envision Center and Community Action Partners and Goodwill North Central Texas will be on site to provide services. For more information, please contact the municipal court at 817-392-6700. And again, it's at Thomas Place Community Center, which is at 4237 Lafayette. Thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Nettles?
Thank you, Mayor. The first slide here is a career day at Townley Elementary School. I had opportunity to read to an awaiting crowd of students. Next slide, please. This is the Tatiana Jefferson Community Center unveiling. One of the workers that helped us greatly was honored today. Mr. Cliff Sparks helped put the event together for the community. So we was grateful today. It was a great crowd. Great participation and great support from this city council and mayor. Next slide, please. This is the Highland Hills Neighborhood Park conversation. When I first got into office, Highland Hills began to tell me that there was some money that they was due to. And so I got with the mayor. So again, we'll publicly thank the mayor, her staff, and Jackson Shaw for donating $75,000 to Highland Hills. And so we're working to figure out what we can do to improve Highland Hills. So it was a great meeting. It was packed. Thank you. Next slide. This is one of many of our Easter egg hunts on Saturday at Mount Olive Easter Egg Extravaganza. It was a great event. The next slide, we were at Tree of Life Easter egg hunt. They dropped the eggs from a helicopter. They had a lot of kids. We was actually in District 5 at Dunbar High School, I believe. Next slide. Earth Day pickup cleanup is going to be Saturday, April the 22nd at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Glenwood Park. So those of you that come out, if you like cleaning up, Jared, you like to clean up, come on out with your T-shirt on. Michael Crane, you know, come on, guys. I'm going to try to get there. Next slide, please. We have garden revitalization. Southside Community Garden has been putting gardens in the back of neighborhoods, and what they have done now is to go back and check on those gardens to make sure they're growing and revitalizing and making sure they give them education. So if you're interested, please, I think the next day is going to be the 12th and the 14th. You can join them at the Connex building in Fort Worth off of Rosedale and Evans. Next slide. I want to thank our Chief Communications Office has really been working on getting information about the election, and so you can hit the QR code to get more information about that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Beck?
I will be brief. First up, so we had our court in the community April 1st, and during that event, we processed a little over 100 people, 389 cases, and 341 warrants were cleared as part of that event. So it's a big asset to the community. And if you don't know about it, I would highly recommend you participating in Councilman Firestone's district coming up, because it's a very beneficial program. Next slide. All right, we had a groundbreaking at Palladium Oak Grove. This is really exciting for the neighborhood because it took out an old rodeo arena that was quite a nuisance to the folks around it. And so instead of a problem, we've got a solution, which is more workforce housing going in. Next slide. All right, it's that time of year again. So put on your comfortable shoes and head on down to Main Street for Main Street Art Festival. It is April 20th through 23rd. I am sure you will see myself and all of my colleagues down there enjoying what we all hope is beautiful weather. Next slide. Okay, long time coming, but I want to make sure everybody knows and everybody is there April 29th at Fire Station Park for the official grand opening of our skate park and dirt bike track. I will tell you a little secret, it is open now, so if you find yourself, Mayor, if you'd like to grab your skateboard and head on down there, we're looking forward to that. And I'm telling everybody, it's not true, but I'm telling everybody that Richard Zavala is going to cut the ribbon on a skateboard with scissors. So come and watch that. We really look forward to seeing all of you there. It'll be an all-day event, but the bulk of the festivities start at about 1 o'clock. Thanks.
Awesome. I think that concludes council presentations.
Next item will be Non-consent speakers, Mayor, and I believe we have two.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Adrian Smith. Is Mr. Willoughby here? Someone mind checking, make sure he's not outside. Thank you. He's coming. Thank you. This is our non-consent items, Mr. Willoughby. I think you've got two included here. Sure, it's 23-0285 and MNC 23-0249.
Okay, 285?
Yes, sir.
That's a resolution, and then the other one?
Is 23-0249.
And that is on the new city council. Oh, man, I gotta split these up, a half minute on each one, huh? You don't know what you're talking about here, because they keep that blank. That's the one we're talking about. Which one am I talking about now? Is that the resolution? No, this one here's the, yeah, that's it, okay. This was about Carrie Moon being on the board. I'm gonna make it quick. When Carrie Moon voted our way, our right to speak down at city council, he crossed a line with me that he cannot, that did it, that crossed the line. It says that I'm better than you. We are better than you. You cannot speak here. You have 3 minutes to speak, no more, is what he says. And if he does that, I don't think he should be on the board. I don't think he should be in my city. Okay. How you like the way they've done this now? No one knows what's going on anymore. This is crazy. It is totally crazy. This here for City Hall, another $150,000 for these lawyers outside of here. The real reason this is so they can put it in litigation. Then when you ask a question about the new City Hall, it's in litigation. We can't talk about it. Same thing with the chief police officer. I like to use comparisons, and I'm not going off track by using comparisons. I hope you can agree to that. Chief Fitzgerald's in litigation, so you can't talk about him either. But the thing about it is, there's two council members here that could talk about him before it went into litigation. They could say why, because it was before litigation. But Gina Bibbins, and this is not an attack, Gina Bibbins and Carlos, or it might have been his person where he was here. I can't think of his name. I'm calling him, okay. It might have been Sal. If it was Sal, then he won't count. But Gina Bibbins was definitely here before it went in litigation. I'd like to know why they even put it in litigations about Chief Fitzgerald. He was fired for whistleblowing. That's why people don't say anything down here at work here. They'll see what happened. They made a sample of him. She voted $500,000 of our money to keep Chief Fitzgerald from coming back. This here is nothing but $150,000 of our money tied up with outside lawyers so that they don't have to talk about the new City Hall. It's $50 million over budget. And you know what they did about that? Haltom City asked the people if they want a new City Hall. They include them. Our council doesn't do it. They just get what they want. And they took the old Pier 1 building because they said they dumped it on the city. No one else would touch that building. The city will. It's our money. They'll spend it on anything. But anyway, I'm against this because you just want to put it in litigation, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willoughby. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
Adrian Smith. Before getting into litigation on this matter, we need a fully transparent and independent audit about the historical background on the development of the site. We need to know who, what, when, and why this floodplain issue is just coming to light after the city permitted the original development and was passed on to the city after two corporations operated at this site, talking about the new City Hall. This floodplain issue was mapped out in the 1950s. Why does the city pay six figures to employ engineers and planners to preclude things like this from happening? Why does it not become an issue until city manager negotiates a deal with a corporate entity to throw the cost of this era on the backs of taxpayers? We need some transparency and accountability placed on this before the city council puts this issue in the secret closet space of pending litigation. We don't pay David Cook over $300,000 a year to get drunk and shoot craps with the taxpayers' hard-earned money.
Adrian, you can't speak like that, so just keep going on the item. There's no
That's my
reason to
first
bring his
warning.
name. Yeah,
Just
that's
give me
your
my
first,
first
that's right.
warning. Thank you. Investigate and have public hearing on what's going on before we go and start playing the same game y'all played with Chief Joel Fitzgerald and Crutcher's lawsuits. The dodgeball game is over. We demand that our city leaders explain the whole story on public record. Mr. Blank, since I can't say his name, needs to stand up and tell the people of Fort Worth what is going on here. If Mr. Blank cannot fess up, then he needs to plead the fifth and go hire an attorney himself, because this whole affair with the new city hall smells like some people running things at City Hall messed up in their riches. And as I take my seat, I've come to realize you all who sit on this dais, your livelihoods are not affected by the decisions you make. So guess what? I want to encourage the people of Fort Worth. We have an election coming up. Use sound wisdom, use sound judgment, get involved, and let's make a change in this city, because what they're doing is going to affect the livelihoods of everyone. Thank you, Mayor.
I think that's the conclusion of our non-consent agenda item. Speakers, council?
First item will be approval of 23-0285.
Got a motion, council?
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0288 with report by City Staff Sherry Gordon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Cherie Gordon, Business Development, Economic Development. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public comment regarding the designation of tax abatement reinvestment zone number 105. The legal description of the site is attached to the MNC 23-0288, and a map of the zone may be displayed on the monitors, or is it available? So is also attached with the MNC. The proposed tax abatement reinvestment zone 105 is located on approximately 78.76 acres at 16101 Wolf Crossing in Fort Worth, Texas. The city of Fort Worth wishes to support new investment and business activity, and in particular, to support improvements to approximately 1.2 million square foot building to be constructed on property owned by Excel Inc. To facilitate the project, the city of Fort Worth wishes to enter into a tax abatement agreement with Carhartt Inc. and Excel Inc. based on a portion of the incremental value of the business personal property at the project site. Today's City Council agenda also includes the companion tax abatement agreement, which will be considered as a separate action item under MNC 23-0286 subsequent to the public hearing. In accordance with state law, notice of this hearing has been published in the Star Telegram, a newspaper of general circulation within the city of Fort Worth, and notice was given to each of the taxing entities that levy taxes on this property. Following public comments, staff recommends closing the public hearing and approving the MNC 23-0288, which includes the following: finding that the improvements are feasible and practical and would be a benefit to the land to be included in the tax abatement reinvestment zone number 105 and to the city after expiration of any tax abatement agreements, and adoption of an ordinance designating tax abatement reinvestment zone number 105. Adoption of the attached ordinance does not obligate the City Council to approve the tax abatement agreement.
Any questions, council? Councilmember Firestone?
Thanks, Mayor. I move to close the public hearing and approve MNC 23-0288.
Second.
Their discussion, council? Please vote. Councilmember DeBivens. Everybody. Please vote, council. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is MNC 23-0062 with report by Stuart Campbell.
Mr. Campbell, hello.
Hello, Mayor, council members. I'm Stuart Campbell, Planning and Annexation. This public hearing item, we've received a request from the applicant. This is an owner-initiated annexation request for Timber Hill Arco. The applicant's requested a 60-day continuance. I'm prepared to give a report tonight. I'll go at the board's pleasure.
Councilmember Firestone, your preference here, if you'd rather hear the report or wait.
Yeah, we're going to move to close the public hearing and continue MNC 23-0062 until June 13th.
Second.
Correct.
Yep. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Stuart.
Next item is the companion zoning case, which is ZC-22-192.
Councilmember Firestone.
I'd like to move to continue ZC 22-192 until June 13th.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-223.
Councilmember Firestone.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mayor.
well, you know what? We have a speaker.
Do we have a speaker?
We do. I'm so sorry. Ray Ojeski. Apologies, Ray. Come on down. Okay. Not speaking.
Thank you. So, Mayor, because there was a lot of confusion surrounding the correct address and notifications for this property, I moved to remand ZC 22223 back to the Zoning Commission, and I would like to request that city staff provide the zoning change request notifications for the two addresses in question, 7900 Comanche Springs and 8400 Wagley Robertson Road.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion to continue passes.
Next item is ZC-23-006.
We have a few speakers on this item. Councilmember Beck. Our first speaker is Robert Petrie, who did say wish to speak only if there's opposition, which to my knowledge there is none, followed by Michael Thomas and then Anna Alcala. Michael or Robert? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Council.
Hi,
Mayor.
Michael.
My name is Mickey Thomas. I'm J. Thomas Engineering. We're the civil engineer on the project representing the client, and we're here to answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, we don't have much to say tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Councilmember Beck, any questions? Okay. Our next speaker is Anna Alcala.
We have not been able to reach her.
Okay, that's the conclusion of our speakers. Councilmember Beck.
First, I just want to thank y'all for working with the neighborhood. This was a situation where we took a hard no and turned it into a yes. And that was really because you took the time to meet with our residents and really explain the situation and how you were going to operate. So thank you for that. That's an example of what we need more of in this city. So with that, I move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-219. 214, sorry.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilwoman Bivens, Miles Hicksosmas. I'm so sorry I butchered that, but only if there's opposition. Miles, are you here? No? How do you pronounce it, Miles? You're not Miles. Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Bivens, I'll turn to you.
I want to acknowledge all the parties involved with this case. It involved a lot of going back and forth, and people worked together, and I'm able to proudly move for approval.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Jared. Alan. Click yours again, Alan. Sorry. Motion carries.
Next item is SP-23-001.
Our first speaker is Andrew Yo, followed by Kevin Afkami. Both are wish to speak only if there's opposition. Councilmember Williams.
Is Kevin here? I'm not sure if I saw him.
We have him on the line.
Oh, great.
Councilmember.
Can you patch him in?
Kevin is.
This is where we need Jeopardy music
Or elevator.
or something, yeah. Yeah. that
Kevin,
is-
are you there?
I'm sorry. Hello?
Hello.
Go ahead. I believe Councilmember
I'm sorry.
Williams has a question.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Could you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you for joining us tonight. As we discussed earlier, would you please just provide a update about what the site plan will bring to the Summer Creek area?
Sure. This will be a neighborhood center, as mentioned. It will fulfill needs of the neighborhood and the area. We're looking to have a very walkable area between this center and there's, as you know, we're doing the Jeremiah's Building ice cream. So we're hoping this will be a destination and people can walk about and enjoy a couple of different restaurants. One will have a nice outdoor patio space. Other spaces we're hoping to fill with anything that will help the neighborhood, be it a personal service like a haircut place or a medical office or a retail shop or even an insurance agency of sort. So we're very excited.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I'm equally excited about this project, bringing 2 restaurants to the Southwest Fort Worth area. And thank you for all the work that you've done to bring a medical office, childcare center, and Jeremiah's Ice Cream. Can't wait to see all the continued progress. And with that, I move to approve.
A motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-178.
We have a few speakers on this item. Councilmember Bivens. First is Darren Norman.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Darren Norman at 3108 West 6th Street. I'm here representing the owner, Demetrica Williams, of this property that's off of Lake Arlington. We've been in the process of working through this zoning application since September, trying to better define what the ask was and to work with the neighborhoods and with the city staff to identify the proper zoning category. We feel like we've come up with the correct category. This request is for a PD MU1 with some additional uses and some setback requirements. We've, at the behest of Ms. Bivens, had an opportunity to speak with and go over the details of our request with representatives of the adjacent neighborhood associations for Stop 6 Edition as well as Carver Heights East. And I don't want to take any more time than is necessary tonight. If there's some particular questions about the use, I'd be happy to answer to them. In a nutshell, the use is an outdoor celebration space, kind of a boutique opportunity for birthdays and weddings and the like that aren't allowed currently in the MU1 zoning. There is no exact use for that use. Oddly, if she would to build a building, that use would be allowed to host indoors, but there is no outdoor use of that size. It is commingled with outdoor amusement, which also includes things like Six Flags. So we've come down and provided a site plan to show how the site would be utilized. The desire is to build some support facilities like bathrooms in the middle of the site, not up against the roadway, hence the request for the setback from the setback requirements of MU1, which requires to build along a road. Carver, the road is not on the view side of the property. towards the center of the property is where you see the lake from, and that's where they want to host the events. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions, Councilmember
Ms.
Bivens?
Williams is here to speak as well.
No. Ms. Williams, then? Thank you, Darren.
You bet.
Ms. Williams?
Is there a Beverly to speak? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Demetrica Williams. I am the owner of the beautiful 10-acre property that's located at 3801 and 3825 South Cravens in Fort Worth. I purchased this property years ago for my children and I to enjoy. Since then, my daughter has passed away, and this is a legacy for her. She loved to be outdoors, and for years I could not go out there. And at one point, when I did go out, butterflies swarmed around me, and that just gave me the sight and vision to bring this space and allow other people to enjoy. So I just want to share that I'm here today to request the zoning change for PD plan development and MU1 and voice my strong support in hosting outdoor events. I believe that this change in zoning classification will benefit the surrounding community in Metroplex and is critical to the success of the event business. My goal is to create a unique and memorable event venue that can be enjoyed by the diverse community for years to come. By providing a beautiful and unique space to the community, by hosting outdoor events, we can offer a wide range of life experiences, celebrations, and activities, such as intimate weddings, garden parties, corporate mixers, and retreats. The flexibility of hosting outdoor events will allow us to contribute to the local economy by attracting more visitors and creating jobs, as well as increase revenue for local businesses. Do you know that outdoor events are increasingly popular, including beneficial in promoting community engagements? Now, a unique and versatile outdoor space is us, because we would be able to bring people together to celebrate life's special moments and what's needed as far as valuable services in the area, in my opinion. From the baby showers to listening parties to the family and class reunions and more. However, the current zoning classification restricts all outdoor celebrations. By allowing this ideal location for hosting events, the space can foster social connections and strengthen our community. The space has a perfect backdrop for the outdoor events with mature trees and lake views, allowing people to appreciate the beauty of nature, a space that allows guests to enjoy the natural scenery while promoting celebrations. So you shouldn't have to go miles away to have an outdoor space to have your intimate weddings or hours away. It should be here, and I would like to host that for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Our next speaker, I believe, is Beverly Musgrove by phone.
Ms. Musgrove?
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Beverly Musgrove, and I reside in District 5, Carver Hills Heights East, Community and Stop 6. And I'm calling this evening regarding the zone change of 22-178, 3801, and 3825 South Craven in District 5. I'm calling to respectfully this evening to oppose opposition of this and respectfully request the denial of the zoning change. My first reason, respectfully, is I was never advised of this letter or this information. The person that presented this evening by the developer was from the past president and did not reflect the majority of the voices of the neighborhood. All neighbors must have have not been informed, so there is a lot of confusion about how this will affect the neighborhood. One reason is crime. Second reason is loud noise. We have traffic now and noise from cars coming from the Arlington Lake. So this would increase that. The third, to enter the venue, traffic would be used from Ramey Avenue mainly. Ramey Avenue has high traffic now because of Lake Arlington and traffic from the 24-hour store on the corner of Ramey Avenue and 820. The venue will bring an increase in population that would affect the safety of our community, our children, our elderly. These are just a few of my reasons that the zoning should be denied. In my ending, public record shows that there will be health problems. There is no running water, no sewer. They will be using porta potties, safety problems, no crowd control, possibility, I'm not sure, but alcohol, noise, and there's no set time of closing. So I ask you, Mayor and Council, how would this really benefit the community with the zone changing? Thank you.
That's the last of our speakers, Councilmember Bivens.
Thank you. And I want to say thanks to those of you who are here this evening. I do have a question for the applicant or your engineer. You might want to come to the microphone. The last caller stated that there would be no running water at this venue. Is that the plan?
No, ma'am, that is not the plan. The plan is to utilize city infrastructure for water and sanitary sewer. We had a pre-development conference back in September or early October regarding that matter to identify the infrastructure would be intact. Unfortunately, we're not able to construct a building for our bathroom to tap into that system until the zoning change occurs so that we can permit the building. Currently, we can't permit the building because the use is not allowable of outdoor use.
Okay. Let me tell you what I'm going to do, and you can take your seat. I'm not going to issue a denial, but I have heard from members of Carver Heights East, and it is not unfortunate, but it just so happens that your case comes before this body right after the neighborhood association has been reactivated. And I think you heard the caller state you probably spoke with previous leaders from there. Is anybody from community engagement here tonight? Renee? Okay, Renee, I had sent a question to staff asking when Carver Heights East became inactive. I think it's been inactive for at least 2 years. Do you know that? Okay, well, thanks to your staff, they are active again. What I want you all to do, I'm going to remand this back to the Zoning Commission, but zoning staff, I need you all to make sure you're putting the applicant in touch with all of the associations that are recognized in that area. I didn't hear anything from anyone from Enchanted Bay, and those would be immediate neighbors because that neighborhood is right at the lake. And so I have some language that I have to read to make the lawyers happy. So you're not getting denied. It's considered a delay. And I think your story is moving to me in terms of the vision for having this event center there. And I'm pretty sure that once we all get together with the various associations, I think things can come to a head. And so my motion is to remand this to the Zoning Commission for additional community outreach, especially to Carver Heights East. Their president was here their vice president was here tonight, and staff should be able to give you the officers there. I know 2 names, Angela Norwood and Alvin Johnson, and I think Ms. Musgrove is secretary. I'm also asking for a renotice for this CUP for outdoor event amusement. Now, I'm real concerned about the traffic flow when I heard from Ms. Musgrove, and so I need staff to just really be very, very on point as to what this is going to be. A CUP would allow for the use of the property as an outdoor event center and could be time limited as well, 2 to 3 years. If at the end of that time, the property owner has not more defined the plans for the land, she could make an application for a PD zoning at that time. But it's my motion now to remand this to the zoning commission.
Sorry, I can't have you speak from the audience if you don't mind. Gina, if you have any questions, otherwise I think we've got a motion on the floor in a second. Motion in a second. Council, any other discussion? Please vote. I'm sorry, I can't have you ask any questions from the floor. I apologize. Mr. Smith, thank you very much. I can't have you speaking from the audience. Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Yeah, right. I think what we could do, if you have any other questions, my chief of staff is here. I don't think Sandy Bro from Ms. Bivens' office is here, but Whitney would be happy to meet with you and make sure you have all the information that you may need. That may be helpful. She's standing at, Whitney, if you don't mind, wave your hand really quick. That'd be perfect. Thank you. Move to the next item.
Next item is ZC-22-188.
We have one speaker on this item. It is Tara Bohm. Hi, Tara.
Hello, my name is Tara Bomey, and I'm here to represent KAT Investments. KAT Investments purchased 3701 Meadowbrook Drive and 2417 North Ayers Avenue last quarter of 2022. A few months after the purchase of the property, we became aware that it was improperly zoned. It was not disclosed nor discovered that it was improperly zoned at the time of purchase. We inherited the problem and simply wish to fix it. 3701 Meadowbrook Drive is a duplex with a detached 1-bedroom, 1-bath dwelling unit, which has its own separate address of 2417 Ayers. These two properties sit on one lot with 3 units and are currently zoned as A-7.5, but it's considered a multifamily triplex dwelling. As to not be in code violation with the city of Fort Worth, we need to rezone this lot to Planning Development PD for specific use of triplex. All units are currently being rented to low-income families who are clients of the Salvation Army. We want to be in compliance with the city code and also continue to provide housing to lower-income families, and this is the best form of action to be able to do both. And I also would like to add, when we took over the property, we didn't take away any structures in purchase. We didn't add or take away. We just did a cosmetic upgrade, cleaned everything up, updated the flooring and paint. We have been in contact with the West Meadowbrook Association, and they were able, Mr. Phibbs, Mike Phibbs, was able to walk all the units and talk to all of our tenants. And once he was able to do that, he was on board with allowing the zoning change, and he did show up to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, which was held on March 22nd. We also reached out to District 8, District 9, and a few other neighboring associations. As far as I know, we have not received any opposition for the zoning change request. So I'm just here today to ask for the City Council approval to move forward so that we can be in compliance with the City of Fort Worth Code.
Thank you, Tara. Councilmember Nettles, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I make my motion, I was just informed, but they have left. We had some Texas Wesleyan students here just visiting and listening to City Council, so hopefully they get to come out again and we'll recognize them. I do want to go ahead to motion to approve. We didn't get any opposition, but we did get a support letter from Meadowbrook's Neighborhood Association, so motion to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-22-201.
No speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles.
I'm going to deny without prejudice. Motion to deny without prejudice.
Motion and a second, please vote. Carries.
Next item is ZC-23-009.
We have 3 speakers on this item. Councilmember Blaylock, the first is David Gregory, followed by Susan Kinney on the phone.
Good evening, David Gregory, DCG Engineering, 1668 Keller Parkway, Suite 100, Keller, Texas, 76248. We're here to present a car wash, but we've had a lot of negative feedback from the neighborhood recently within the last 2 weeks that we didn't have before the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we're respectfully requesting to be tabled.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Councilmember Blaylock, I'll turn to you, and then I can go to the next speakers if that's your preference.
Please call the speakers forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Our next speaker is Susan Kinney on the phone, followed by Russell Fuller.
Ms. Kinney?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Susan Kinney, President of the Parkland Neighborhood Association. Our board and many homeowners and residents ask that the City Council and Mayor vote no to the request for a conditional use permit for a car wash, ZC-23-009 at 4941 North Tarrant Parkway. The noise from this car wash will be able to be heard from nearby homes in Park Glen on the south side of North Tarrant Parkway, where the car wash opening will be approximately 360 feet away from the homeowner's rear property lines. Homes in Coventry Hills will even be closer. There's another car wash not far away, which when 360 feet away from the building of the car wash, you can clearly hear the car wash noise, and a video was sent to the City Council to kind of show this example. This car wash is not permitted by right in the FR zoning district. Please, we ask that you preserve the residents' quality of life and use of their properties from this noise encroachment by denying the request for a conditional use permit for a car wash. In addition to the noise encroachment from the car wash, this car wash works against our neighborhood's adopted community vision to have a walkable commercial area at the intersection of Park Vista and North Tarrant Parkway. This vision was adopted after our residents attended a Blue Zones workshop that the city held several years ago. This car wash works against the city's adopted policies from this Blue Zones project, which were set up to encourage residents to walk and bike to nearby uses. Please deny this request for a conditional use permit for the car wash at 4941 North Tarrant Parkway. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kinney. Our next speaker is Russell Fuller, or Rusty, by phone.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Rusty Fuller. I'm president of the North Fort Worth Alliance, and we submitted comments in behalf in support of Coventry Hills HOA and the surrounding residents of the area. We just don't want a noisy business impinging on the residential areas. We point out that we were successful in getting a car wash much like this one turned down up near McPherson Ranch. We understand the developer is asking for a continuance to reach out to the affected neighborhoods. Therefore, we reserve further comments until the neighbors and the HOAs have a better understanding of the business and its operations. I will point out that one of the considerations by the Zoning Commission is contrary to good development in the city of Fort Worth. And that consideration is the existing businesses that are located nearby. Those businesses were allowed by right. If we had had input, they wouldn't be there. This business is not allowed by right, as Ms. Keeney pointed out, and therefore should not be considered as part of those, as being consistent with those other businesses. It should be considered on its own lack of merit. Thank you.
That's the last of our speakers, Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Mr. Gregory for coming and speaking today. I'd also like to thank Park Glen HOA President Susan Kinney and North Fort Worth Alliance President Rusty Fuller for calling and talking with us. So we've had many constituents reach out through email and comment cards expressing opposition for the zoning case and the request for a conditional use permit. I want to reassure everyone that all the emails and all the comment cards have been added to the zoning case record. I've discussed this with the developer, and they've requested the continuance. The reason for their request is simple. They've not had the opportunity to meet and discuss with some in the community and wish to do so before a final decision is made. While it may not lead to a change of position, it ensures that we had a robust process, which we can all respect and appreciate. I'd like to thank everyone involved for their cooperation and patience, and as always, their commitment to their neighborhood and to Fort Worth. I move to continue zoning case 23-009 until the June 13th, 2023 meeting.
Council, please vote. Sorry. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-013.
No speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles.
Move to approve.
Got a motion on the floor. Motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-014.
We have one speaker on this item, Bob Willoughby.
Well, I've got to sign up for this one because I don't never get a chance to say anything good. So, okay, well, here's the problem with this one too. We're changing from neighborhood, I don't have no problem with neighborhood commercial, I have no problem with that, but we're changing to A75. That's one house every 7,500 square feet, one house. That's a lot better than A5s. A5s don't even leave enough room for park 2 cars in the driveway without being over the sidewalk and everything else. It's only 1.87 acres. And that's something we don't get as A75, and that's what we used 2 years ago. That makes the city a lot better if you had more A75s. The one we're going to be speaking on a little bit will be coming up. It's about 13 acres, and they're going to put multifamily there. But this one, I wanted to say that we need, that's what I would, it's not going to happen, you know, but that would make Fort Worth different than all the other cities across the United States because it would be more people-friendly. People need room to grow out. New York, I had the pleasure of traveling across Europe and the States and Canada and my business and stuff and seeing areas. And Manhattan, when I worked at Madison Square Garden, New York is one of the top 5 unfriendliest states there is in the city in the United States. And that's because everybody's crammed together. The model in New York, don't make eye contact, walk faster. That's true. Texas was rated as one of the top 5 friendliest states because when we built a Burger King and a McDonald's, they had a half a block to put it on. New York, they got to stack them up. McDonald's, everything's 2 and 3 stories high, believe it or not. They ain't got room to go out. They got to go up. So it's the crowding people. You know, horses have more treatment better than we do. They won't allow me to put so many horses on my property because it's too crowded for the horses. But people, they stack them like chickens in coops and apartments and call it affordable living. Something you'll never own. Something you'll never, and I see the kids getting off the school buses at these apartments and going in the apartments. I don't think they need houses and yards. So A75 is what I'm for. I'm for tearing down a lot of apartments, and our growth is extending our income big time in the city. That's why we're understaffed in police. That's why crime is up. And I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I've been at this for 10 years down here, and I've never seen so much change to the city since Maddie, since you got here. In 24 months, you've done more of this city than anybody I've ever seen. Took away our right to speak and this stuff. I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, really, okay? I have nothing against you personally, okay? You're an attorney. You're not cut out for this job, that's all. Same way you're not for a doctor or anything else. You're an attorney. Get out there and bust someone else's tails. This city needs someone that cares about the city. This is crazy. But anyway, I love the A75. It's the only thing Gina's ever done in 10 years in office so far that I can say I approve, okay? Thank you.
Great to see you, Bob. Thanks for coming. That's the last of our speakers, Ms. Bivens.
And speaking. I am so pleased whenever we get a chance to bring homes in. I see my friends from Habitat for Humanity here. Glad you're here. We're going to be having a conversation on affordable housing in my district. I know Gage told you I'm looking forward to it. With this, I move to uphold the recommendation from the Zoning Commission and move for approval.
Motion and a second. Council, any other discussion? Please vote.
Bob was speaking, don't y'all forget.
Motion passes.
Next item is ZC-23-016.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Carries.
Next item is ZC-23-021.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Bivens or Councilmember Nettles.
Under most circumstances, I would hold this because it's going to be in District 8. But I know the District 8 councilman likes to see houses coming, and so with that, I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. In their discussion, council, please vote.
2 or 3 or 4.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-024.
Councilmember Beck, there are no speakers on this item.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-025.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Nettles, but only if there's opposition. Scott Gibson.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Gibson? He is on the line.
No, and I don't believe there's any opposition either. So I'm going to motion to move for approval.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Oh, there it goes. Thank you. Motion passes.
Next item is ZC-23-028.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Firestone, but only if there's opposition. Ray Ojeski.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-029.
Councilmember Bivens, we have a few speakers on this item. Our first is Barry Hudson, followed by Matthew Swedenberg.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. For the record, my name is Barry Hudson, Senior Planner with Dunaway Associates. Do we have my slideshow in here? Just make a brief presentation. This is a 14-acre site on Trinity Boulevard in the Mosher Valley area. We've had quite a bit of neighborhood outreach. The access is all from Trinity Boulevard with secondary access off of Mosher Valley Road, so we have excellent access. There's a real need for quality housing in here. What is being proposed is a CPD with a lot of open space. This is a multifamily project of 336 units. It's a mix of townhouses and apartments. We've had very good input from the neighborhood. We have a lot of amenities on this particular site for some quality housing that's badly needed here. The staff report says that this project is compatible. Staff recommendation was for approval, and the Zoning Commission recommendation was for approval. The graphic in the upper right is the open space area that's crosshatched, so you can see there's an abundance of open space in this area. This is in that finger of District 5 that goes out to the airport and extends out there. We have utilities surrounding the site. We will be working with the City of Fort Worth on infrastructure improvements to serve the site as we go forward. With that, I'll turn it over to Matt.
Matthew Swedenberg will be followed by James Hornsby.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Swedenberg. I work for the developer Sunhawk Capital Partners. Through this whole process, we've had the pleasure to meet with Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, the church group, both Jared Hornsby, Bishop Hornsby, and Dallas Rice as well. We've had, I would say, probably four to five meetings individually with the group. And then a neighborhood meeting following those meetings. We've put together some requirements that they work together with us to come up with. And we've come to a mutual agreement on those. A little bit about the developer, if we go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. So we developed Class A multifamily apartments in Texas. We've developed quite a bit in Fort Worth. Two of those being the Jameson at the Bluffs and the Bowery at Southside. We're very familiar with the area. We are based in Dallas, but here to answer any questions that y'all may have regarding our project and any of the neighborhood outreach and conversations that we've had regarding that.
I just want you to send me that presentation. This is the first Class A project that I've had, and I've been here about 10 years. And so the idea that we're getting a Class A complex is quite a compliment, and I'll have further comments later, but please send me that presentation.
Yeah, we can definitely get that over to you. And here's a few more renderings of kind of the projects that we've put together in the past. And a few more that are going in the future in the surrounding area of DFW. But with that, that's all I have. Thank you all for hearing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Our next speaker is James Hornsby, followed by Dallas Rice. Is James still here?
There's the bishop. He's a real bishop.
Good evening to the mayor and the council. My name is James Hornsby. I'm a pastor of the Cathedral of Faith, which is directly across from this project. And I'm also the jurisdictional bishop of Texas Northeast First Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction, which has been in existence since 1954. And there are about 100+ churches that are part of that, some in Fort Worth and Dallas and other places. So I have been actively involved with the council and with each one of the council members and the city administration in trying to bring in the type of projects that would be good for Fort Worth and good for us as well. And this is the best project I have seen. It exceeds the Viridian project, which, and we have succeeded in bringing in the Bezoar project, which is just behind us, is 20 acres, and they brought in 48 single-family homes, and the value of those homes now $575,000. We are a mile and a half from American Airlines headquarters. And so there is the demand for this project that has been offered here. This company has worked with us. It's a Class A project, and it will increase the tax value for the city of Fort Worth, and we're a blessing for that community. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Bishop, before you leave, how much did your church end up costing you to build?
$10 million. We have $10 million because when I came to this, I've been pastor there 40+ years. And as you know, Moses Valley was a place with sand and gravel. And so we had to recover some things. And just in the building, is in the foundation is $500,000 tied up in the foundation. We have better than 40,000 square feet total on that space, and we are planning more. But the kind of community that's coming in here, we're so close to Six Flags, AT&T Stadium, and Globe Stadium, that it's an advantage to Fort Worth to continue this type of expansion. And I want to appreciate Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, who has done an excellent job. And we've worked with every council person, but in the last few years, we've been able to accomplish great things together. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bishop. Our next speaker is Dallas Rice, followed by Jared Hornsby. No? Okay, thank you. Jared Hornsby, go ahead. Danielle Tucker.
Danielle, I didn't know that was you. You got your hair up.
I'm incognito. Been absent for about 2 years. Greetings, Mayor and Council. My name is Danielle Tucker. I'm the owner at 11415 and 11425 Mosher Valley Road. And I wholeheartedly welcome this development. Even though I was not in the planning phase, I hope that we can coexist on the 8 acres, and we welcome any improvements. And we plan on being there another 40 years. Even though Bishop Hornsby was invited and not other neighbors, this land will be used for mainly construction, for the future use for my child, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren. And we have always been in contact with the Hancock family since 1977, and we've always worked together and supported each other. And we just wanted to know why we weren't invited to the planning stage, but we do approve and welcome the development and our new neighbors. Thank you.
Danielle, I'm going to respond to that question. I'm going to be working closer with staff because they do their contacts, and I think it's within a 300-foot radius. I need to make sure that people are being contacted. We have more property owners in Mosher Valley than people who actually live there, and sometimes that makes it difficult. But I give you my word, I'll be working with staff to make sure the notifications do get out like they're supposed to.
Okay.
But I'm so glad you support this project because I know that means your family supports it as well.
Exactly.
Whenever new developers come looking at Mosher Valley, I send them to the Tuckers, which is Danielle's family, and to the Bishop. Bishop Hornsby's church is ready to plug in for Daystar Christian Network. The technology he has there makes ours looks like romper room. And it is it hurricane-proof, Bishop, or tornado-proof?
There's no wood in the building.
Okay.
300 tons of red steel, and there's no wood in the building.
So if I get stuck out there and the high winds come, I know where to go. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you. Can I just say one thing? Also, even though we are a sand pit, sand and gravel, I just don't want to hear the complaints when the neighbors come in about the banging and the trucks and the noise and the dogs barking, because we've been there. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Our next speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Tamika Seaton.
And while Bob is coming, I forgot. Oh, no, Bob, I'm not going to talk before you. I'll let Bob finish.
Just for clarification, Ms. Seaton is by phone.
Well, let me make it clear for one thing. It doesn't matter what I say. It won't make a difference, okay? So don't worry about it. I'm not going to hurt anything. But most of the people you've seen speak here about this all have an interest in it, okay? How about general public? You don't see that here, okay? And one thing, I want to correct people. And they come down here and they say affordable housing. This is not affordable housing. This is rent. You never own it. Affordable housing would be where you spend time and you grow up with your kids and they have something. You never have nothing here, okay? Now, I have nothing against apartments, but we're flooded with them. I would love to see A5 houses there and yards and cut down. That's why we have rolling blackouts here, and people have died from that. Don't y'all understand that? Just because it wasn't you or your friend or your neighbor that had to suffer.
Point of order. I believe he should be talking to the council and not the community.
Not a point of order on the floor.
Point of order on you.
I'm going to sustain the point of order. That's one warning, Bob. Go ahead, please. Thank you very much. Adrian, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, where am I at? Am I still able to speak?
Yeah, you got 2 minutes, please. Keep
2
speaking.
minutes?
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm just kind of curious and just want to know. And I guess the reason why I want to turn around and talk to them, because I've been down here for 10 years. These people don't listen to you, honestly. They really don't. They don't care. I've seen big groups come down here, and they vote against them, big groups. So I come down here hoping that someone listening for zoning might get a little education what's going on, understand we need to get people involved down here to know what's going on. And but this here, the agriculture here changing to multifamily, that's what I see constantly here in this city. And I'd love to see us just put the brakes on for a while until we get balanced out somewhat, because we're well understaffed in police. And like I say, the people that make these decisions to do this are not the ones suffering. Same thing as Adrian said earlier. It's not y'all that's suffering. It's other people that are. And, if you're a pastor, you should care about everybody, okay?
Point of order, Bob.
Oh, there we go again. I made the mistake again.
Yeah.
Here's Gina.
That's
I'm sorry. I had a crick in my neck. I had to turn my neck
That's
just a
the
little bit.
conclusion of your time, Bob. Thank you so much.
Turned my neck just a little bit. It was hurting.
And now
Okay.
you're
That's
lying.
it. Thank you, Bob. Our next speaker by phone is Tamika Seaton.
Ms. Seaton?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, please.
Good evening. I would like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak before you this evening. I, along with other residents who reside in Moser Valley and have been told by some of the other company owners that we just need to come up with a dollar amount for our property because we're eventually going to lose our property to eminent domain. We were told this was going to pass before it even went to the zoning commission for a hearing, and it did. So I speak for myself and others in our community in saying we are in opposition to this development. I was advised to share my contact information with Matt from Stonehawk so we could get together with others in the community and to discuss this plan. The only time I received contact from him was yesterday, April 10, 2003, advising me of this meeting and if I wanted to attend. I must say I do appreciate the info that was passed on to me so that I could attend. I requested to speak out in opposition to this during the zoning hearing, but was never called on. I listened to the representatives of the company about how they have reached out to us, which is untrue. Those of us that live in a dwelling within 300 feet of the property line only stumbled on this proposed development because of a meeting we were invited to at the church in the community. I learned that we had several meetings in the past and did not involve any of the residents or businesses in the community. We are very concerned about the safety and the security of everyone in the community. You hardly ever see the police patrolling the streets in our community. That is, unless they are called due to an emergency. And we're concerned about the crime rate going up as well. Traffic is one of the main reasons for our opposition. This is literally one-lane streets with no real shoulder to move over to for passing traffic surrounding the proposed property. I live on Rodolpha Street. My grandmother lives on Fife Street. I've complained numerous times regarding 18-wheelers and tow trucks going up and down all hours of the day and night. This is a 24-hour operation, of which they're renting lots from earth haulers, and then we have Cardinal Towing dropping off wrecked cars all day and night. None of these companies are adhering to the no truck signs that I fought to get installed. I have gone through numerous hours of therapy for anxiety and only see it getting worse. I even asked for speed bumps, which I even offered to pay for, and was turned down. But this does not stop at these two companies. There are others that have managed to get permission to store heavy equipment, and then they start the engines at 5 a.m. There's also the motorcycles that race up and down Trinity Boulevard between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. daily. And the police swear that they cannot stop them because someone could get hurt. They really can. And the injured could be me or my 15-year-old son just trying to drive home after dinner or a movie or visiting our family. There will be
Thank you,
huge
Ms.
traffic
Seaton.
jams.
That's the
especially
conclusion of your
during the
time.
hours.
Ms. Seaton, thank you very much.
Ms. Seaton, can you still hear me? This is Gina.
I can.
What I want to do is visit with you about the street racing. We can address that. That has very little to do with the project we're voting on tonight, but I do want to visit with you because we've had a task force created because street racing is happening everywhere. And let me ask you this. Did either of these two gentlemen tell you that they were going to take your property by eminent domain because it's not being used here?
Not Stonehawk. No.
Okay. Thank you for your call. Is that the last speaker, Mayor?
Yes, it is.
I will tell you, when I graduated from college, I couldn't afford to live at home with my mom and dad, let alone an apartment. I was so excited when I got my very first apartment. And when I grew up, that was a rite of passage. Most people couldn't afford to buy a house, time they got out of college. I think apartments have their place. What I learned from Robert Stearns and William Johnson today, there's a certain type of demographic that if we bring in, it helps us more improve our chances of getting a signature grocery store. And so getting a Class A apartment complex is something that I'm excited about. And I'm going to put those plans on my Facebook page. I'm just so enamored, just excited to see them coming. Bishop, I want to thank you for being a point of contact. I want to thank the Tucker family for being a staple that this entire region looks forward to working with. But I also would mention to you, I'm also talking to Habitat for Humanity to talk about affordable housing. Where this project comes in, we're right at the apex of American Airlines corporate headquarters, American Airlines Integrated Operations Center. That's like air traffic controllers for the IT functions of American Airlines. Also, Bell Helicopter Textron is there, and Vought and Centerport. And so there are people who will be looking for Class A apartments. And this is what's going to be coming here. And so I'm excited about it. And with that, I enthusiastically move for approval.
We've got a
Michael
motion.
seconded it.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? If not, please vote.
Thank you, everybody.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-23-030.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Nettles, David Gregory, but only if there's opposition.
Is he here? Is he here?
Mr. Gregory?
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think there's any opposition. Do you want to speak? Okay. Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0249.
We've already had these speakers come up earlier, council.
Move second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0250.
No speakers on this item, council. Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0252.
Motion and a second.
Wait, Mayor.
We have a motion.
I have language to speak on.
Go ahead, please,
MNC.
Carlos.
Thank you. I move to approve MNC 23-0252 with the following changes. One, increase the amount of 2022 bonds to be sold for park and recreation by $600,000, resulting in a total of $11,270,500 in park and recreation bonds being authorized, and make conforming changes and update the chart in the attached ordinance to reflect the types and amounts of bonds to be sold to mirror the revised MNC. So moved.
Thank you, Carlos. We've got a motion on the floor, substitute motion. Motion and a second. Please vote. Listen, sorry, bud. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0255.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0274.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Next item is MNC 23-0278.
Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0286.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved. Next item is MNC -23-0287.
Move to approve.
Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 23-0289.
Is the applicant present for this item? Kenesha Hill? No? I don't believe so, Gina.
A very exciting project to District 5, and once again, I enthusiastically move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Rock and roll.
His thing's not working. Motion carries.
Mayor, I believe that concludes all of the action items.
That's it. Thank you very much for attending. Meeting adjourned.
Entrepreneurship and economic innovation, which is a center that was funded by the state legislature a couple of sessions ago, but is really just getting its legs under it right now. So there's been increasing emphasis in the university community, especially public universities, around our role in economic development of the community around us. And